This video is about fertilization. Fertilizing your crops, which is a very controversial topic to some, and these opinions, these views, it's a very touchy subject, and I'm trying to just show you what we do here. This is just what we do, and your farm in your garden will and can be different. Just because we do it doesn't mean you need to do it. And I really want to stress that, because I do not want anybody freaking out because I said this is what we do. And everybody is entitled to their own opinion and their own views and their own way of gardening. So I am not going to look down on anybody if, for instance, that you use a synthetic fertilizer over organic. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that your family gets the food that they need at a reasonable cost. And when you're growing your food and you need to fertilize it, then you need the best option for your soil. Everybody's going to be different. My homestead here is different from the neighbor half a mile away, because we do things differently. Our soil's different minerals in the soil. But let me stress, the number one thing is I recommend for sure get a soil test. That way you know what your soil consists of, what you might need to amend it when the time comes that you need to fertilize it, so you know what your plants need. And a seasoned gardener, can also just look at the plants and be like, yep, that needs nitrogen because it's, this, and it's not growing as big. Like your greens, they need more nitrogen because that's what makes the green foliage. So if you are lacking that, your plants won't get as big. I have followed some YouTube channels, and even ones that were in the SHEDWARS thing, that recommend doing this to the certain plants and fertilizing with this. And I have done that, and my plants have died because I didn't know that I already had a certain amount of this already in my soil that was abundant of it. So when I added this fertilizer, it killed my plants. So please do your own research. Get your facts on your soil first before you go looking for alternatives. Array of fertilizers here that I want to show you, and there is just so much out there that you can look at and pick through and just, really find what's best for your soil. So if you're going with an organic, we have used this, and with reasonably good results. It's 1138. It is, it's an all-in-one fertilizer. We use some Jobs and organic. We have, there's Miracle Grow out there, Fish Emulsion, the brand really doesn't matter, or synthetic fertilizers, like these, synthetic fertilizers also. And then there's also just the amendments which is really fertilizers, but it's organic. But it is just like blood meal is 12, so you have to add what your soil will need. You have to mix it into your soil. We do pretty good with the fish emulsion. Any brand really, it doesn't really matter. But I have even known, and a feller not far from me, they use fish emulsion on their flowers, but when he did it on his tomatoes, it killed them. So I think a lot of it has to do with your water also. We are on city water here, so we have all that. Well water might test differently, might have more minerals and more things in it that your city water don't. So what we have learned for our soil is that with our compost that we have made here on farm, is that all we need to add is nitrogen. So I've been stocking up on the blood meal. Now next year it might be different. But all we need right now is the nitrogen, which is completely understandable on why some of my plants aren't growing as big and beautiful at the end of last year as they was in the beginning of last year. So now that I've been adding that, it is really taken off, and it's really helped with, like I said, the greens and just the Swiss chard, the greens, the onions. Things have really taken off now. But I want to stress that you are growing food. So if you need to fertilize, or when you need to fertilize, you need to make the best decision for your family on what fertilizer to use. Just because I say that I will go to this before I go to this does not mean that I won't use this. I will use this if this is not working, because the main thing is to grow food. Now, it's a controversial subject about synthetic fertilizers, I understand. But what you need to realize is it's not going into your food. A fertilizer is not going in to the item that you're growing to eat. So I really have trouble explaining myself because I don't want anybody upset. The number one thing is to grow food. So if you have to use a synthetic fertilizer to do so, do it. You need to do what's best for your family. The main thing about synthetic fertilizers is this: the fact that they have been overused in abundance to where it's running off and going into the water system. That's the main thing. If you use it sparingly and only the amount that you need, then you're going to be okay. It's not going to go into your food. So don't feel like you have to use organic because that's what everybody else does, and everybody's going to look down on you because you're not using organic. Don't worry about everybody else. Feed your family. Feed your family. As long as you don't overuse the synthetic fertilizers, and that's right, getting right back to getting your soil tested so you know exactly what your soil needs and what you need to add to it. And I would say you'll be surprised at a soil test, because I really thought that our compost was just top of the line, A1, but Kentucky doesn't get a lot of winter weather, not a lot of snow, which brings a lot of nitrogen into your soil. So if you're living in a state that has an abundance amount of snow, like Canada or, just Maine, anything like that, I would say you have a great source of nitrogen, but your other things might be lacking. So go ahead and get your soil tested and start from there. That way you know what you need to put into your soil to the point that you might not even need fertilizers eventually. But yes, we tend to go to the organic, all organic fertilizers. But if the need arises to have to use a synthetic fertilizer to feed my family, I'm gonna do it. I haven't had to use a synthetic fertilizer in like 3 years, but I will. And just because you get a fertilizer that says, like this one says 1138, doesn't mean that you're not going to have to still add something into your soil even with using this, because you might be lacking phosphorus and this doesn't have a whole lot in it, so you still might need to add some bone meal to your soil even after fertilizing with this. Fertilizing rates will depend on your soil. Again, how many times per month you're going to have to fertilize it is completely up to your soil and your plants and how much they're taking and what you've planted. It is fertilizing is really not a one-size-fits-all type of deal. Like I said earlier, just because fish emulsion works great for a lot of people, I had a feller tell me, it killed his tomato plants. So that's an option, but his wife uses it on her flowers. Now, I don't know how they mixed it, if they mixed it wrong or anything like that, or what kind of water they used or anything, but so all that takes a toll and a role in that also. So you really need to think about everything when it comes to your garden. Get your soil tested. Know what you're planting and where, because a lot of, some plants won't need so much of one item in the fertilizer, and other plants will need more of the item in a fertilizer. So it's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing when it comes to gardening. I hope this makes really good sense, and I'm sure people are really going to not listen to all of this and fast forward and miss some and just put things together and miss what I'm trying to say. And I hope you really watch this whole video so you can understand what I'm saying completely without making assumptions. But I just, really need you to consider that organic is great, yes, and it helps keep certain things out of our water systems. But if something happens and your plants don't thrive on organic, you have to go to a synthetic fertilizer, I am not looking down on you. I gardened for years growing up my babies with synthetic fertilizers on our other homestead and had beautiful gardens. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have beautiful garden. I had a lot of trouble with it. And I probably overused it at that time. And it probably just needed to rest. But, you just learn things, and learning comes with experience. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want every day, every minute of the day. It does not mean you know everything. You can look at all the articles that you want to online, look them all up, and learn all there is to know about all this fertilizer. But when it comes to the hands-on work and the using of it in certain applications is where the experience comes in. And we all kill a lot of plants trying to figure it out. But a soil test will help you all immensely. And I never done it until the last 2 years. And I'm so glad I did, because I have learned so much just from my soil. I did a compost test, soil media. I did a compost test, which is a soilless medium test, and now I know what my compost consists of. And I also did a soil test on the land that I am doing the in-ground gardening for. And I've learned a lot. I've learned what my soil doesn't need and what it does need. And I ended up actually moving my blueberry bushes because of the soil test. And then I moved them up to where I had put wood mulch last year at, and they're doing great. I have the most berries already than I did in the front yard in the last 4 years. So it's all about where and how you use your fertilizer, your soil, what you need in your soil and what your soil needs from you. I hope you all have a great day. I hope I explained this correctly. I just don't want anybody to feel bad because they can't use the organic fertilizer, because they need to use a synthetic fertilizer, whether it be because they can't find organic fertilizers in their area, or they just feel like, that's the way my mom did it, that's the way I'm going to do it. So however you feel is best for your family is what you need to do. And I even have not entered some certain challenges on YouTube because it's an organic challenge. When it comes down to it, I'm going to use the synthetic fertilizer so I can have that cucumber or that tomato or that onion for my family to eat. Because YouTube does not feed my family. If you have any questions on my opinions, these are all my opinions, y'all. So I'm sure I will hear or have comments in the comment section about all this, and I'm just saying these are my opinions, and these is what we do here on our farm. And like I said, the person across the street will have to use something completely different. So it's not a one-size-fits-all type of deal, and I hope you all can figure out what your soil needs and what your plants need and go from there. I wish y'all good gardening, good luck. Just grow the food, because the grocery stores are getting more expensive every day. And that's been happening for years. But it should not cost a lot to grow or have good fruits and vegetables for your family. So I'm going to leave that here, and I hope y'all have a great day, and y'all come back.